I'm not healthy enough in general. I'm not a 6-year-old kid. Like when a kid breaks its arm, normally the doctor is going to be like, the bone is stronger in the area. That doesn't happen as we get older because I don't have the proper nutrients within my body. I don't have the proper calcium coming into my body for my bone to want to heal to become stronger. So like when grandma falls down and the hip broke, the bones were so brittle anyways, it was like literally the fall that was just kind of pushing it over the edge. The bone was pretty much broken anyways. But now that there's a foreign object in the body, my body knows it's either going to try to reject it or it's going to try to mask it off. We're not healthy enough. And depending of your age, the older we get, the slower things get. So we're going to have to take displaced calcium from a bit of my low back, some of my femur, and we're actually losing my bone calcium to buffer down the inflammation in the area. So I'm putting excess buildup of calcium from my bones here because I'm not healthy enough. My bones are getting more brittle in the surrounding areas, and I'm getting displaced calcium around the artificial joint. And so when people look, and if you've been working with like your hip for a while, there's no replacement or anything, and the doctor says it's bone on bone, it is bone on bone for what we can see. There's still connective tissue there, there's still cartilage there, but it is now adhesed to the inside. You can't see it because I've had so much irritation here for so long. I've put displaced calcium over the area to kind of mask it off. And what you see on the x-ray is technically, what is calcium? Bone. And so you're just going to see bone on bone. But the connective tissue, the actual cartilage is all still there. It's just very compressed and smashed against a specific point. Because they can't see it. But they're only telling you what they know. Because if I looked at that too, and that's all I see, I'm going to tell you, it's pretty much bone on bone. But then they're not doing a bone density test to see that like, oh, you have stage 2 osteopenia, or you have full-on blown osteoporosis. So I know you have brittle bones, but then I know if you have brittle bones, where'd that calcium go? It doesn't just disappear. Your body had to put it somewhere. So we have our weak links in our body where we're gonna have excess buildup of displaced calcium. So when it comes to an artificial joint, it's not like they can't have that range of mobility, they can't have that freedom back, they totally can. But it's something like if he had ankle surgery and there were screws there, it's something that I'm gonna want him to work on constantly too. So I'm gonna teach him about padding and clapping, one-shot therapy, how to get in there. But every 6 months if he can, every year, it would be good to get an hour or 2 on that hip to keep it free moving, to remove some of that displaced calcium that's wanting to go there. So anybody who has a replacement, shoulder, hip, knee, doesn't matter. It's just you're going to have to cater to it a little bit throughout your lifetime. It's not like a one and done. Your hips, we fixed it, you can do some stretching. Like your body doesn't like that foreign object in there. So it's something that I'm going to tell the person, I'm like, hey, every year if you can, just get somebody in your area to do some like non-surgical on it, clap it every maybe couple weeks for like a good 20, 30 minutes and be really vigorous about it. Send some stimulation there because the body is inflamed.
Is one treatment a year enough to get rid of
To keep it, if they're on a really great diet and they're doing things that are good for themselves, like clapping, doing some one-shot therapy, stretching out the area, being mindful of what they're putting in, not causing excess damage, you go out and you live a really hard lifestyle, you're going to be causing scar tissue regardless. I go to the gym too hard tonight and I do a lot of tearing, I'm going to be causing some form of scar tissue buildup. So there's no way of living this life and getting out of here scot-free. You're meant to die. Our physical bodies are meant to die. So enjoy what we have. Let's treat it as best as we possibly can. And let's cater to our ailments that kind of arise because I'm here to live a fun-filled life. But that does not mean my body's not going to break down. It's impossible. There's no way of getting out of that. So one treatment a year is totally enough for the person who only needs one treatment a year.
So if someone's has a bad diet, bad lifestyle, that inflammation, is that just going to go to the weakest area?
Your weakest links, yeah. So like it could be his hip, but some people, I normally tell people, generally who you are, I don't care if you're the healthiest person ever, most people have 2 to 3 weak links in their body. It's impossible not to. I generally feel healthy all the time. I can work a crazy amount, I can go out, I can have fun with my friends, my body feels really good to go do the exercises and things that I want. When I get my low back or my knees work, do they feel better than what they feel right now? They don't feel bad right now, they feel good, but I can feel great. I can feel better than I feel right now. There's always like another step in a different direction. You can plateau here. It's like, why do people do steroids? Because their body's plateauing in a specific way. But you know what? They plateaued on the visible sense. There's so many other ways to strengthen that body. There's so many other ways to strengthen your mind. Go read a book. Go study a dictionary. Learn a new word. There's ways to become stronger all the time, better for yourself, for every situation that you want to be in. So it's not just about, it's how far do you want to go with you. I choose to not limit myself because the things that I don't like, I would like to aspire to become good at one day. So it's like there's something that I want to grow in all the time. Yes, I can physically get to a point where I'm like, yes, there's no pain in the area. Can I get more flexible? Can I have more agility? So there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of make yourself better. It's not just the pain in the area. Pain's easy to fix, but unless the person wants to live in pain. And
Sage, where are the specific clapping points if you're your own doing it to yourself?
where is your specific pain? Where's your pain? That's the main thing. So like if it's like, oh, the area is right here.
Yeah.
The area is right here. You're going to focus on the area of concern for yourself.
Okay.
So anytime but like, I want to do the surrounding area. So if he was like, wow, it's really irritated right here, I'm going to get him to clap here. But I also just want him to come down a bit and do the surrounding area. But it doesn't mean like, if you have pain in a specific area, we want you to address that specific area. So clap the knee, clap the hip if the hip or the knee is irritated. Same thing if it's like a low back. I'm going to be focusing around the SI joint. And you guys, by the end of this, you know how to do the technique. I don't care if your partner's not certified. You know how to do the technique. If you know how to do something, you should be able to show it a little bit. And you should have a partner or a friend that cares enough to be able to place their elbow on you, and you just kind of show them, you guide them along 10, 15 minutes on one specific spot. I'm teaching you guys a whole body part, but it's like, this hurts. Then focus only right here for 10 minutes. Relieve the irritation, and then you'll get some results.
And one last question about the clapping.
Totally.
Is it better over like a fatty, or if you're like say bone on bone, is it more effective to get off of that and go?
No. I want you all around the bone as well. Okay. And come lightly onto the bone. But at the very last day, I'm going to show you one-shot therapy. And so that's going to be taking the shot glass and breaking down scar tissue like that on our extremities. That, if you're dealing more with like bone stuff, you should get the shot glass onto bone. Big tissue areas, I want more stimulated from like the foam roller, the clapping, actually softening the tissue.
What do you think about those metal? I forget what they're called. They're a body bar, and you just
Grafting tools? Yeah, they're totally good. Yeah, because you're going to be stripping the muscle, you're bringing more flow to it. Just some people can get a little overzealous and damage the skin. Yeah. Just be mindful. Like same thing with one-shot therapy. I have some people who haven't used oil and then they're like, oh, I broke the skin. I'm like, you're just not being mindful and paying attention to what you're doing. You're watching your movie and you're like, I'm breaking everything up. Like when I'm working, I'm paying attention. If the person's moaning, groaning, and kind of tweaking out a little bit, I'm going to ease off a little bit. I'm going to push them for 10 to 15 seconds, but then I back off. Yes, non-surgical is intense, but I find your pain threshold and we hover around it. I'm not overshooting that all the time for a long period of time, making it like completely exhausting for the body. But you're gonna have clients that come in and say, I don't wanna be in pain. I don't care, like I have like tons of money. So I don't care how many treatments I have. So I'm like, it might take us 10 to 15 treatments on that one general area. And so I'm gonna say, and then they're okay with that. And then I have clients who are like, I don't have a lot of money. I just want this kind of dealt with. I've been struggling with it for a while. I'm like, hey, you need to moan, groan, breathe through this treatment because I'm gonna push you. And so you have to find the balance within your clients. You have some clients who just want to layer everything. Doesn't matter the amount of money or how many times they come. They love the treatment, but they don't like to be in pain. I'm gonna work with you, no problem. I don't have a lot of money, but I want this fixed. You have to breathe through this one. And so they're going to breathe through it, but I'm going to push them. So you got to be able to find that balance and help them out. So hip treatment, similar to the ribs, how we do the back, the side, the front, it's done in 3 sections. Hip is done in 3 sections. We have ilium bone to the trochanter. And so the trochanter is weird. And so when it comes down to a hip replacement, there's an artificial joint in here. It looks similar to a hip anyways, and it's been in there for quite a while. People are like, how do I work? Same way you would work a hip. It's an artificial joint, but it's similar structure, and now there's going to be a bunch of displaced calcium around it. It's not like you're going to damage that artificial joint. There's too much stuff built up around it, so you're going to be plowing and playing all your angles directly on top. It's the same thing that you would do without a hip replacement. It was just an irritated hip.
What are those artificial hip joints made of?
Depends. A lot of them are cobalt. And cobalt is really, really bad because it causes the surrounding, it's like we call it cobalt poisoning because it causes surrounding, and like this is actually like stated from the medical industry that it causes all surrounding tissue in the area to start to disintegrate. And like, I can't remember, we read it in the beginning, but I think it's over 62,000 patients right now are suing Johnson & Johnson for cobalt poisoning from, and like, what? Correct, it's metal. And then, but then they also have like kind of like an acrylic one, and it's like a hard kind of plasticky acrylic, but it's like doesn't like break down as easy. So similar, it's usually like mesh or like an acrylic kind of porcelain kind of thing. Yeah.
Know which one they get.
Well, a lot of them are.
What? No, some people don't even know.
Yeah, a lot of them are both.
Yeah.
So
You have pieces of both. Yeah. And then it's also like some screws. You have both. So.
Why are people getting hip replacements? What is
Why's the main thing? This guy right here. Waste seeps out from the inlining of the intestinal wall. That's our soup bowl. Spills over from the pelvis. Where's the closest next big bone? Hip bones. So if this area is super inflamed, waste starts seeping out, infecting my blood and causing this area to be really toxic. It's going to affect my surrounding areas, so like my hip bones. After hips, that's why the knees go, because what pulls down? Gravity. And so then it's going to head to our lower extremities. Shoulder replacements mostly happen with damaged shoulders. It's mostly like construction workers, stuff like that, where the guys are cranking on the shoulder constantly. That's going to be why people have shoulder replacements, falling on the shoulder, really damaging the socket. Hip and knee replacements are the #1 replacements out there for joints. So we have 3 sections. We have top of the ilium. We're going to come down through. It's weird because it goes greater trochanter, trochanter, lesser trochanter, but the lesser trochanter is technically on the inside. This is covered by the gluteal process. And that's where the head of the femur comes into the socket. And that's right in this area. And you can see like where my hand kind of balls out and it's circulating around. You're going to have to isolate with the elbow, with your guide hand, because the elbow naturally wants to jump off. So you really got to be focusing on top. It's a lot of pressure. You guys got to be getting over top of that elbow. These hips can take a lot, especially because they're on the lateral side. Everything on the medial is always going to be more sensitive. We don't touch it that often. This stuff always gets hit. So these can take quite a bit of pressure. So you got to get really over top of that elbow, and you got to be falling into it. Don't come from shoulder because it's going to wear you out. So we have 3 sections. And this is what I was saying. I don't want it to look like this directly at the beginning. See how it's kind of encased a little bit? I want it to be shift, lift up just a little bit. I'm going to shift this to here. This is nice and open now. See how it's not encased? It's elongated. So just be mindful of that when your client goes to lie down on their side. It's not up like so. It's open. I'm going to start from the ilium, the top of the hip bone. And this is where I said when we were talking about the non-surgical, it doesn't matter if you take it in strips or if you work side to side. There's no right or wrong. I can't tell you what's better. Go by what you feel. Because it's just how I work. I work normally side to side as I come through. Because I'm always constantly pivoting and playing my windshield wiper. I'm moving around quite a bit. So use your angles as you work along side to side, coming down. And I'm going to come to the iliotibial band. Right here is where that band begins. And over time, this IT band turns to beef jerky. And people are like, wow, this muscle's so tight. Not a muscle at all. This is the largest tendon in the whole body. And it's built up of tiny, tiny layers to create it to become like that iliotibial band, that IT band. And it turns to like beef jerky. I do want people to come touch this. Very, very tough. So it's not like the quad or the glutes. The IT band.
Goes all the way down.
That goes all the way down to the knee. You can just feel, though, how it's more of like a beef jerky band. It's very tight. So what he needs to be doing, though, like he should, like a daily thing, yeah, he does the stretching and everything. He should be on the side, on the side of his thigh, rolling that out once a day for 5 minutes on either side, softening that tissue.
Rolling like
Foam roller.
on the side with your weight on that roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's painful. Yeah, that's hard.
It's painful only if it's toxic tissue and it's tight.
What am I doing?
The thing is, stuff is not painful, stuff doesn't hurt that we teach because it all actually is super loving and nice. Like, go to the gym really hard one day. That hurts. Everything we do, rebounding, belly button therapy, clapping, it doesn't need to hurt if the body doesn't hurt, guys. Everything we do is pretty easy and with love. None of our therapies are really that aggressive. I can push you with non-surgical, but I can also put my elbow on you and put you to sleep. But it depends on how you layer it.
My room tonight, you do that?
Put you to sleep? Yeah. Yeah. If only I can have 7 of me. So,
Just on your way up,
what room are you in?
I'm kidding. 2006.
She says the number. I'm kidding, says the number. Okay. So I'm going to start with the top of the hip first. That's going to be my first section. I'm going to do this section from face to face and face to side, face to feet and face to side. I finished the top portion of the hip. Then we're going to do the iliotibial band as the second section. I'm going to do it from face to feet, face to side, flip over, face to face, face to side. Then after I've done this whole portion, we're going to get them into supine and we do the hip flexor. I'll show that after I demo all this. Thank you. All right. Coconut oil, hands are clean and nice and warm. Beginning with my nice airplane landing technique. And right now I'm focusing from the top of the ilium to the bottom of the ischial tuberosity, bottom of the trochanter. Ischial tuberosity is over here. Trochanter is that circular bone, and I can feel the iliotibial band begin right here. So I kind of want to finish this far. So it'll be from here to here, and I'm going to be stripping the middle, the medial, and the lateral. That fly needs to go. I'm like, it's starting to really piss me off.
Give him some love.
It's a test. Like smiling, talking to you guys, trying not to get it back.
Hopefully he doesn't fly in your mouth.
I'd rather that. I'd eat it. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Effleurage massage. I'm putting pressure. You see me using my thumbs. I'm getting my weight into it. I'm stimulating. The hips aren't as sensitive because they're on the lateral side. They take some damage. You're touching your hips. Your body gets touched on that side. So it can take a little bit more pressure. I'm going to begin top of the ilium. And I'm just going to scale my way from middle, medial, lateral as I work my way down, really isolating around the trochanter area.